on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmer, Mount Nimba to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Country, to educate, elevate, and promote. Yeah, focus on Liberia, for Liberia, Liberia, for Liberia, yeah. From Monday to Sunday, from Monday to Sunday, it's focus on Liberia. Talk about home affairs, in diaspora, current affairs, reliable information, history, talking about culture, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am...
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of On Point. Oh, Lord, God willing, we have a full house. It's going to be rough. I have Usumana. I have Dugle. I got Nangbe. I got Tawo. I got the ANC National Anthony Gay. Ladies and gentlemen, today is going to be heated. Have you ever heard of something called the yellow machine? Maybe if you forgot, it is back. It is back. We talked about the abuse of power from the very inception of Liberia. We're talking about concessional folks, people with money have always taken advantage of our poor politicians and our folks. We have seen a repeat of the same thing, a Liberian citizen being held behind bars for weeks without bail. And the crime they charge her with is a billable crime. There are a few crimes in Liberia that aren't billable. And those are like serious crimes, sedition, murder, and stuff like that, but not an accusation of arson. We also have the yellow machines. We're going to discuss these things and more. But before we get started, I know there's a lot of other stuff going on in Liberia that we may not have discussed. So let's see, when we talk about current event, let me start with the big boss man here. Mr. Padwo, you are in tune with the happenings on the ground, basically instantaneously as I do. That's news that came about after we posted our topics.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gilman. Thank you so much. I think we are on point. I think we've covered the topics happening.
No pun intended.
I think we've covered the topics in Liberia right now, or at least the hot topics in Liberia right now. And I'm glad to be here this Sunday. I look forward to a spirited debate. I see everybody showed up for the party, and so yeah, let's get it started.
Great. Dr. Booty, you on the other side, what is it you're hearing? Sometimes the people on the other side here think quicker and faster than we hear on the ground. What are you hearing?
And I hear nothing.
Oh, yeah. I told you, the man a politician, he's scared. Victor Nambe, you are the Eula man. So you're endorsed the vice president, so you got to be in the know. You got a lot of stuff coming down the pipe. What's happening in Liberia?
Hey, listen, it is good to be here. If Dr. Buddy didn't hear anything, I mean, he's just coming from Liberia.
That's
If
right.
he didn't hear anything, I didn't hear nothing too.
That's right.
We're about to find out, but it is good to be here. Happy Sunday to all. Let's get a show on the road.
Great. And let me go to Houston. The University of Houston is in the finals with my University of Florida, the Gators. The Gators versus the Cougar. Unfortunately, Joseph Tower said he never heard about it, don't know what basketball is. So he's a sorry Houston man. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Hi to my fellow panelists and to our viewers. No, I didn't hear anything. The only thing I heard was from ELDC that USAID cut funding. That's all I heard.
They say when the man way behind go back. That was the thing we discovered 6 weeks ago, Mr. Padmo. Now that be way behind. Mr. Gay, why you hearing? Are we still taking 3 hours from Monrovia to Zwedru?
You said 3 hour elected people here, 6 hours, more than that.
Your senator Penance in the road is so good. In 3 hours from Monrovia.
Don't mind. I challenge you right. I challenge you right now. Anybody do that 3 hours, I'll pay for that gas. But hey, I normally check the group chat before I come on. If we can, if not, I wanted to suggest a topic. The police officer that gave a ticket to a lawmaker and he was someone.
Yes.
If we can add that there, that would be great. If not, if we don't have a space. But I think it's something that we ought to discuss. It's pathetic that had happened. But yeah, so that's what is on my mind.
Great.
For a long time, then it's not adding
So
topics.
Dukley, you are in Canada. What are they saying about us in Canada?
Well, I thought it was pretty interesting. First of all, I want to say hello to my fellow panelists. I thought it was pretty interesting to have heard that, I don't know, was it Joseph Boakai or someone said in the saga of the RIA power outage that heads will roll, and I thought that was a pretty interesting headline to say that the heads will roll. And we are kind of used to these eye-catching, headlines. I guess empty eye-catching headlines. So I'm looking forward to see what happens, what comes out of it. And I thought the brother's suggestion about including the guy who was issued a ticket and he summoned the chief of police or whatever. I thought it would be interesting to link it with the detainment of that young lady.
Great. And from my end, what is of interest to me is the Boakai administration hatred for President Weah. They have now begun to partially demolish the newly built park in Monrovia, PHP Park, and they are saying the park was built over the cable, communication cable, and that's why we are having problem with technical difficulties in Liberia. So they are digging up the entire area in the middle of the park to find that cable that they say is causing the trouble. And people on the other side saying Joseph Boakai hate for Joe Weah will make them to destroy anything that remains to be his legacy. And they gave an example. The airport authorities say they want to expand the airport threefold. And then they want to make James Spring P Airfield an international airport. They want to expand it. And the people say, this is the recipe to destroy the invisible park that is built near the park. So these are the things that are happening there. And we will talk about it and see whether there's some logic into it. On the other hand, Joseph Boakai, through Kula Fofana, she said the president Kula has set up a presidential committee to delve into the real reason for the outage of the utility at the airport. The president has set up another committee again to look into. Can Can someone really tell me that we don't know why the light is being cut off at the RI? We need a committee to go and deal with why the light is being cut off. So those are the topics we will talk about. But ladies and gentlemen, do us a favor, share the show in your platforms, on your platform, in whatever media you have available, share the show. I cannot share the show for some reason. I've tried and I can't. Mr. Padmo, if you share it in our chat room, then I can take it from there and share it out. But ladies and gentlemen, this is where we are. Let's start with number one on our list, and I will have Mr. Padmo read it and then start off with us on the number one on that particular topic. Let's see how far we can go with that. Number one on that list. And after we have done that, I think we have four there. Mr. Padmo will kick up one. Mr. Dr. Booty will take up one. Taiwo will take one. And then the ANC Nationalists will take one. Then Mr. Dukley and Namwe and myself. Are you ready, Mr. Padmo? RRA go dog again. I didn't see any bird in sight.
You were there to see.
You see, they made a Joseph Waka undercover. I told you, Abu Bakr and Usmana, they are related, big time. Go ahead. So what's the problem this time, Mr. Padmo?
The government has not told us what the problem is this time. Like many things that happen in the country, I don't know if it's a state secret, but many things that happen in the country is kept secret. The government, I guess, they don't feel a need to inform their citizens or to be honest with their citizens. It is to the point where it is almost nauseating. So what do the citizens do? The citizens fill in the gap with their own assumptions of what is happening. And then when that happens, then the government comes up and starts to call people up, opposition, you unpatriotic. No, what do you want us to do? You have a responsibility to inform your people on what is happening, how you are managing their resources. And if you fail to do that, then you want to get upset with people. Of course, the RA went dark again because there is no stable electricity in the country. And that is as simple as that. Why RA doesn't have their own electrical grid? Nobody knows. I mean, it's just those are simple things that can be managed. Why hasn't the government sat down and come to an understanding with Firestone to supply RA? Nobody knows. Okay, why is it that when the RA knows the schedule of every single plane that comes in? How many planes are coming to that bureau in one data? Well, I think this is not JFK. They're not MSP. It's not. This is Liberia. How many planes can come in Liberia in one day? 3, 4 the most. You know when those planes are. So when those planes are coming in, do you rely on? Excuse me. Do you rely on LEC, or do you put in your own power, your own power a generator on for that 1 hour that the plane will be on the ground? It's just a simple thing that you have to undergo. Okay, you can run a generator 24/7 because of fuel. I understand that. But in order to have guaranteed stable electricity, when the plane is coming. 30 minutes before the plane comes, you go to that generator, you run it, it's stable, you're gonna get what you need. When the plane takes off, you go back to LEC. Anything that happens during that time, when the plane go LEC do that thing, you can manage that one. Just simple management. Somebody said, I'll end with this. Somebody said something the other day. I believe of my cousin call. It made so much sense. She said that President Bweka did not appoint people, right, that could, He did not appoint people to help him manage his state. He appointed people based totally on sentiment. And this is what you get when you appoint your friends, your cousins, your long-term buddies, the family members of your friends. This is what you get. You get a government that does not work. And if Joseph Boyka does not realize that at some point in time, it will be too late for his legacy. I can't say his presidency. The president doesn't seem to want to do anything right in the country. And this is where we are. That's what we are talking about RA right now. And a sound person will know how to sit down, look at the problem, okay, and mitigate the problem. It's simple concept. They don't. They prefer to spend resources on finding excuse or providing political or hiding behind political images than to just solve the problem. Whether it's water and swamp, whether it's LEC, whether it's cleaning the city, everything. It's almost like cancerous throughout the entire government. And this is where we are when it comes to that. The same thing. Washington call you, they'll call you CDC man. You let the country. That's why you're saying this so and so, man. That's why you praying. You praying for let to go. And your press. I'm done, man. I'm done with those people.
Mr. Tao, here we are. I think it was Michael Patmore that made this point maybe a month or two ago when he said way back the Liberian government had asked Firestone to provide electricity for the airport, and the whole while that Firestone were providing electricity, we had no issue. What's wrong now with the Liberian government asking Firestone with their own dam, their own electricity, and they're not even a block away? What is happening now? And Firestone used to provide services to that place, and we had no issue. What's the issue? What's happening, Mr. Tao?
Okay. So first, Firestone used to provide power, right? But we have to look at this. This might not be just the only reason, but when Firestone provided power, who ran the airport? It was present-day Delta, right, or Panam. So these were two American installations. So maybe they had some kind of agreement between them that made it easier. Knowing the Liberian government, if Firestone is a private business that you're looking to collect tax from, if you went to them and you say, hey, provide power, and they say, okay, we can provide power, but we'll send a bill, it would knock off some of the tax money. Since their interest is for them to only grab money and eat it, not to put the money into anything that will run the country, did they say no? Is it possible that they said no, that they want the money? Just like some people are going to buy land from, the land is sitting there, all the waterfront, the front view have been sold, the one to the waterfront, elegant area, nobody want to buy it because the alleys are not open. I asked them, I said, look at what happened here. Let me open all your alleys for here. Then how much it will cost? You will be there, then you'll give it to me in land. They said no. Give us the money and we'll open our own alley. But then I found out they did that to other people too, and they didn't open the alley. Now people are blocked. They are blocked off from the main road behind other people, and they can't get in. Could this be what the Liberian government probably did with Firestone? Because if the private company is running their business and you want them to supply you power, you have to pay for it. So maybe they didn't want to. They want the little tax money they will collect. But look, to just end, there is nothing much to say on this. This government, they are not serious. I said here from the beginning that this government are going to be worse than the we are government. And people are like, oh, let's give them chance. That I was too upfront. I was too brute with it. But what we are seeing, how can a president be buying $1.2 million vehicle in the airport? It's not working. People, they don't care. What happened? He's going to do all that they're going to get out of there. What is ANC or whoever come to power? Guess what? They're not going to touch these guys. Nobody is held responsible. So once nobody is held responsible, people will do anything. What is ANC? I can tell you, they come in there. Cummings himself, he had been hanging. What it's going to be 25 years almost. Oh yes, he got all kinds of creditors that attached to him. He himself, he needs to chop. They're not going to audit anybody. So we're just going to continue in this. Look, to make one quick point, we all will point out Burkina Faso. Now look at what the young man is doing. If we admire what Burkina Faso is doing, then we must look at Burkina Faso's staff form of government in Liberia to break everything down, flush all the guys out, start it. It can't get any worse than this. That's all I have to say.
Dr. Booty, here we have first, the folks said they blame LEC. LEC did not supply current. LEC replied in a written notice that no, your backup generator ran out of fuel, ran out of gas. Don't blame us. We were not providing electricity to you. And then, in the twinkle of an eye, the Senate calls them to a hearing. They forgot all the communication between them and LEC. They said the birds from the dumper that been over there flew, and I guess the birds over there got a stronger beak. They actually turned the transformer off, and they expect us to buy that. Mr. Booty, are you part of that bird, or you defending? I'm defending the bird.
Well, first of all, Mr. Fatmo said that people will say, "Oh, Mr. Gayman, you're praying for because you CDC man, you're praying for the coroner board," and not true. You praying for that coroner board, no. So let's get that clear first and foremost.
It had to go twice. It went twice. Yeah. So go answer my prayer.
You and your village people been praying hard. That's how it went twice.
Go answer my prayer. Don't mess with me.
Seriously, look, I was in Liberia, and this is not me trying to advertise anything, right? I was in Liberia recently, and I stayed at a hotel around Tinkers Village called Lifestyle Luxury Hotel, and they had LEC current, right? Electricity, and LEC will go, as we know, like Christmas, it can go from time to time. But as soon as LEC goes, the generator picks up straight away, right? And I was shocked. I'm like, So I went downstairs. I'm like, how y'all managing to do that thing? I said, oh no, we got something in the generator room there. As soon as the LEC goes, you can just straight. I'm like, but this is good, And that's the first time I've stayed in a hotel in Liberia where I'm like, wow, whatever I paid, it was worth the price. So how is it that the international airport that services the Republic of Liberia cannot have a technology like that that service the Republic of Liberia does not have a technology like that to basically automatically, right? LEC go, like you said, Mr. Gaten, generator come on. Right? The technology is in Liberia. It's not like, oh, this is magic. It's not like, oh, we need Mr. Gaten to come pray for us for this kind of thing to happen. It's happening. There are businesses in Liberia that have this technology. How is it not possible that the international, because the problem is when the escalator broke, they said that George Weah. When the other one happened to the airport, they said that George Weah. George Weah ain't made anything here for almost 2 years now, or 1 year, we're into 2. How can you still be blaming a government that's been out of power or out of government for over a year for issues? I'll come to the birds here. I'll come to the birds. For issues that this is so wrong. This is inept. This is basically, like Mr. Patmo said, a president who has put in place a lot of individuals who do not understand what they're doing, but because they were running behind him when he was out of office, when he was broke, they used to come visit him, shake his hand, sit down on his lap, papi, so he get a job, right? And this is why the country is suffering as it is, because the individuals are getting jobs simply because they were saying papi, 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 and not because they have the credential to actually be able to deliver. And that's where we are at this moment in time. Let's leave the burden out of it.
Oh no, let's leave the bird out of it. Let's go to Ducle here. Ducle, the man say everything you do, don't touch his bird. So here you are, the bird advocate from Great Britain said, leave the bird out of this. Why can a bird with strong beak so? The Liberian man so. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Gaiman. See, what Dr. Budi just described now about the hotel, actually, it's not, it's pretty standard in every good functioning hotel anywhere in the world, that you have a backup system so that when your main source of power is out, your backup system automatically kicks in, um, and so, because first of all, I can tell you from my experience, I when I was much younger, I did work for Lufthansa for 5 years, and in those 5 years, I was able to have traveled to so many places doing my job, and so there were a lot of things I learned in those 5 years that I think it helped me in my older years as I grew older. And so, an airport, a seaport, these are two sensitive areas that every country, no matter how rich, how poor they are, those two places are supposed to be the economic engine of that nation. And so, first of all, you need to have competent people to run those places, and you need to have a system in place that will ensure the effective, consistent functioning of that place. And so, because in Liberia we have come to normalize mediocre as a normal way of doing things, um, it's just mind-boggling to even hear something like that. Liberia has only one international airport, and we can even adequately manage that airport efficiently. So this is just another example to tell you how inept Joseph Walker and his government is. It is one example to show you how Liberian, the unity the unity party government does not prioritize area of the country that needs to be prioritized. And if you remember, Mr. Gaiman and my fellow panelists, there was a time when Air France decided to suspend their services to Liberia. And one of the reasons they gave was the lack of adequate lighting at the airport. So there have been a host of other issues at that very airport. And so, having incompetent management to run the place, I mean, when I was listening to Dr. Budi talking about somebody asking how, the backup system just automatically came up. This is a no-brainer, for God's sake, people. This is, I mean, listen, Mr. Gaiman, look, I read this story, I followed this story, and they say, oh, the president is angry. He appointed Kofi Woods, his national security advisor, to investigate. What does Kofi Woods know about these things? And what is he going to do at the end of his investigation, anyways? So this is another example to prove to those of us who are skeptics of this government that we are right. Because I mean, I try to sort of find a way to understand even the childish explanation they're trying to give to the people. As if people are in kindergarten. I mean, what kind of stupidity is that? I mean, so Mr. Gaiman, this is just another example to prove to those of us who were skeptical about the ineptness of this government, their inability, and nothing's going to change. If anything, I think someone said it earlier. that George Weah government is going to be better than this government. And I think we are seeing clear sign that tell us that that's going to be the case.
Wow. Mr. Anthony Gay, we have discussed it ad nauseum, but as soon as it's supposed to die, for some reason it wouldn't die. We thought this thing was going away, and then we were on another show, and then there was, alarm everywhere that the folks went before the Senate and they say it won't happen again, and they have done this, they have done that, and the senators praised them for the swift resolution of the problem, and they slap down the wrist, go, don't do it again. And then 24 hours later, boom, the place went dark again. This time, we're not hearing anything about the birds. Anthony Gay, go ahead. You are muted.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. If you go to that Senate hearing, you will see how active I was on the live feed, because I even wrote that I'm very disappointed, and I asked that the entire airport authority should be dismissed. And here is the reason why. I'm gonna illustrate because I don't have something here to show. You see my 5 fingers, right? Can you see it?
Yes.
This should be the airport. In my palm should be the airport. My thumb should be LEC grade. This index finger should be one backup. There should be another backup. There should be another backup and another backup. It doesn't matter how many birds come here that shut the LEC grade down. LEC grade is shut down. The airport stay here. There's one backup feeding the airport. If their backup fails, there's another backup feeding the airport. And the backup fails again, another backup. What am I saying this? I'm a data infrastructure engineer. And what do? When we set up the backup system, it is configured in the way that there are seconds for it to power up the next one. In another sense, if anybody working in the computer field, you understand, in the server, there are clusters of hard drives. So you only need 8 hard drives to be working, but you will have the 10 or 12 hard drives in our cluster, just so that one goes back, you swap it up and put the other one there. Currently at my job, we have 8 generators. We only need 5, but we have 8 generator backup, and the solar plate, and the solar power, and also the lithium battery backup, and all of the different backups. So we have 5 different backup systems, because we cannot afford to lose power for 1 minute. Even though we need 5 generators as backup, we have 8. How much inspection do they do on their backup system? From that day, I was just waiting that another one will happen within a week or 2. Because just from their own deliberation, it took them 9 hours to figure out the problem. Now, how often are they inspecting the backup? Do we have a hybrid backup system there? Meaning interconnected backup system. We don't have it at all. The answer is no, because I did my research behind. Nada. They have 1 generator. They have, I think, 3 generators, but 1 is set up as a backup, and the other 2 just sitting there. When the other 2 were supposed to be wired in a way that when one failed, the other one pick up, and the other one failed, the other one pick up. You understand? What is our problem? Our problem is when we give people a job, we don't do something they do in America called onboarding, your training process, right? Your training period. Some company will give you 90 days, other company will give you 120 days, other company will give you 6 months maximum, right? So like you can be acclimated to the system and understand all of the nuances that come along with the job functions. You understand? They don't do that here in Liberia. You're a minister, they give you a job, you go to work. Whatever you know, whether you know it, you don't know, you have to figure out a way to know it. It don't happen here. They don't care about how much experience you have with the previous company. So long you come to this new company, you have to be put through that process to get acclimated to what is ongoing, so that you don't interfere with the current operations of the business. The Liberian government, unfortunately, people on the committee don't understand the power infrastructure and the system and how does that work.
So what question are you going to ask? How are you going to ask question? We the other day we had sitting the Dopo on the closing argument, who also on the committee of transport, the Ministry of Transport committee. Now, if you don't understand power infrastructure, when the people come up before your committee, what question are you going to ask? The other day, the director of the airport was telling the people all the different mark on the ground that won't mean this. We are not here for that. We're talking about power. What are you telling me about the mark on the turnpike? On the turnpike, I mean, the mark on the turnpike has nothing to do with the power flow. The bird hitting the transformer has nothing to do with the generator. Did the bird hit the generator? The generator is a source of power. How many backup do you have? How many times do you inspect the generator? So they have these things, they don't inspect it. They expect it to work magic. If you park your car for almost 2, 3, 4, 5 months, you think you can get started that car and start driving it, and for it to function the way it should function when it will never start there for the past 6 months? I don't think so. So you have a generator. If the LEC gray is working, you are not testing it. We have our board. Periodically, we test our generators. There are people responsible for that. Who want to answer questions that, oh, why the generator is not working? So again, we have folks in leadership who don't understand their job function. Many of these folks just think the airport is a joke. Here's another thing that people overlook. The Liberia airspace does not only belong to Liberia. There are other international flights that fly through our airspace. If there is an emergency, where would they land when you're having power issue like this? Where would they land? This is sad, and this is a national security issue. The airport out of electricity, the hospital going out of electricity. I mean, what's going on here?
Thank you.
If you don't understand the importance of electricity, then leave the country alone. Because this particular president really doesn't get it.
Thank you. Mr. Nambe, I think he just touched on some serious issue there. To be very frank with you, when I was going to Liberia with my son, I made sure that I got a flight that would land in a day. So I flew from Dulles International Airport to Accra, and then I did Air Sky or something like that to Liberia. We got about 3 o'clock to make sure that everything. But this is what we are talking about. Just imagine 100, 200 folks in the air. And I heard that the ambassador or his staff were on there, on Air Brussels. And they basically were doing an emergency landing because there were no light there. And we are talking about distraction, about they want to expand the airport 3-4. They want to build a new airport. You can't maintain the one you have. You're talking about. I mean, this is just headline grabbing text to say you want to expand the airport 3-4. You want to build new airport. I mean, where there's a number. You are very close to this administration. What's going on in your circle, man?
Okay, that closing right there will make me to walk up this stage and go. But listen, first of all, I'm having a bad day.
To the government.
I know, right? I'm having a bad day because my South Carolina Gamecocks are.
Don't worry, I'm watching it. You're done by
Gino Ariama is doing his magic, and this is not looking good. We're in it at the end of the third quarter, and we're trailing by almost 20 points.
Yeah.
But listen, I can't really add much to what my colleagues have said, especially the backup point that Dr. Booty brought up, which has been reinforced by Mr. Gay. I think the airport people are aware of this. Otherwise, they wouldn't have brought in, the additional generators from Ghana, sometime last year. So I think they are aware of it. If LEC, went out, then why can the backups kick in? So I think that was a very poor excuse. And if you notice, from the time LEC kicked back on that, The airport people have not responded. They have not disputed what LEC alleged. So obviously, as our people would say, the LG story was a vlog. I think the bird story was also a vlog. It appears to me there is a failure of management here. Apparently, they really didn't have gasoline in those generators. Can you imagine that? So I think that we're in the middle of a deep crisis here. We will talk about the yellow machines again, but when you put all of this together, the sum total of all of these, failures, LEC, yellow machine, all these things, and the president's unwillingness to do anything about it. This is really what is frustrating. We cannot run the government on sympathy or empathy or whatever it is, but when these people do these things, there are no consequences, and this is why they continue to repeat themselves. Now, in the intro, you say apparently a committee has been set up. That's the end of this government. Something happens, they pass it on to a committee, and then we move on. I mean, since February 11th of last year, the Armed Forces Women's, protest, that committee investigation, I don't think has come in. So it appears to most of us that this government is going to be just like many of the governments before it. I don't think they have any interest in helping our people. It's becoming clear to me now that either they're unwilling or they're incapable or both. They don't know what to do or they don't want to do the right things. Because even with you and I, little limited information that we have sitting on the outside, they have all the information. Anthony, Brother Gabe mentioned, the senator the other day. You sit on the committee. This is the age of technology. You're traveling, yes, understandable, but you get a briefing. His excuse was that he's not there. He doesn't have the details. And so it is just really frustrating. The unfortunate thing is they have another 4 or so years to do this to us. We don't know how much we can endure this. God forbid, we don't want any kind of violent disruption, in their tenure. But we just have to put up with it until their term is over. And I hope to God our people are watching. If this is how they will continue for the rest of their time, they should not be returned. They should be rejected at the polls. This is really very, very disappointing and frustrating. They came in with this problem, the airport problem. We started experiencing it from the previous government. And so they came in already aware of it, and yet they still cannot seem to put their arms around it. So why did they come to rescue us from what? I'm afraid I don't really have anything much to add. My colleagues, I totally agree with what they're saying here. It's a waste of time. We come here, we discuss the issues, we proffer our little suggestions, and nobody seems to listen. I am sure these are not the only suggestions, and we're not claiming to know anything more than any of them. It's just that we add it onto whatever considerations they may be having. But the same problems continue to persist. It's just frustrating. I'll leave it there.
Good. Let me answer Brooks here. It's not that we live in a diaspora and don't want to go home to make contribution. Most of the folks on the ground that President Waka hired are folks from the diaspora, our friends, people that we know. But the difference between us and the people over there is when we are working in the American system, okay, where it is designed to work, we do very well. But when you are called to be that man to design a system to be innovative, this is where they fall off the rail. They cannot work outside of supervision. Let's go to Mr. Taiwo.
Yeah, can I say something real quick?
Yeah, real quick, and then pick up on number 2 here, starting with the yellow mission. Go ahead.
Okay, so look at what happened here. What Dr. Booty said, right? Concerning like where he stayed at that hotel. This stuff is not any kind of technology. It works just like your thermostat in your house, where when the temperature falls to a certain level, it kicks on. It's just a sensor. I work on projects where the oil being pumped, and there is a sensor there And when they reach, and it's calibrated with a graduated stuff, so when they reach a certain height, it's shut off the valve. It's just a simple sensor. You can buy it on Amazon. That is how easy the things are. But the problem here is that people that are hired in these positions are not technocrats. You have to hire technical people in these positions. That's one aspect, and Mr. Gaiman just mentioned one of them. But when you bring these technical people in, it's the area conducive for them to really be able to work, because they can hire you and put you at the airport and give you no support. Where I blame them is that if I'm there and what I need for me to do my job, if it's not available, I'll quit. I'll resign. Because I'm not going to be there and just be attracted only to the salary and then just stay there. And that is what I found out with many of our diasporan brothers. I was there in Liberia, I stayed there for a whole year. I went everywhere where they were, where diasporan were plugged into major areas. First, a whole bunch of them had no idea. They had a guy from Philadelphia. I won't say his name. He was over the port. Have no idea about port, have no idea about shipping. All kinds of stuff going wrong. People are dying. Nothing about safety, nothing about quality control. All he knew was he had a big job. That's it. So that's the problem. But look, to transition into the yellow machine, I don't know why this is even coming up. If the government were really serious for the fiasco that was even around the yellow machine, where it took almost 20 people trying to explain this stuff all kinds of ways. 1 minute it was just an idea, another minute it was an MOU, another minute they were already on the ground. And what, almost a year or so, and nothing. You would think that even, let's just say, if it was to try to come back, you would think that they will actually shut their mouth so that they have an actual plan. The question still is, you want to bring the yellow machines to do what? What is the actual plan around these yellow machines? What are you intending to do with them? Because there is no real actual plan. Where is it 28 million or 22 million that no car will get stuck? Where is that? When we're saying it here that they already squandered the money, we were told that no, my brother Kamara, that they'll release it 5 million at a time. It's only 2 million that they have used, but it's going to be over. No, they ate the money. All these guys are doing is, look, if you look at purchases, I've been involved in purchasing a major stuff, multi-million-dollar stuff. There are a lot of kickbacks that arise. So when you see the president, probably don't even know when you see him doing bulletproof vehicle and all this stuff. It's procurement. So people are sitting for, so they're going to look to push in every area. What we need now is not any kind of yellow machine. We need for them to cut the salaries. We need for them to cut all the unnecessary benefits. Let them take that money and channel into the places. But I saw the minister, one minister was on here like 3 weeks ago. I don't know, minister of who, commerce or something like that, deputy. Then I saw Musa Ability on here. Every time and the benefit being cut, they said, no, that's not a problem. That is just that the government just bad. People just can't, and so you can see them. Those guys we need to run them out of that place. They hijack that country going nowhere. How you call this guy, the Burkina Faso star or Niger star stuff? This is where they're pushing it to. Because going to go vote every 6 years or 2 years is not going to cut it. So what I will have to say about the yellow machine is something that they shouldn't even mention. So each time, like you said, Mr. Gaiman, each time everything is going wrong, they will pull something. One time it was all refinery, $3 billion. Where is it? They left that one alone. So the government right here, I don't know. I knew that they would be bad, but I didn't think that they were going to be this bad this quick.
Dr. Booty, the reason that some of us, this is so comical, is the folks said from the beginning in the president's own cabinet meeting, Mama Kaba, she said that the yellow machine was 79 point some, almost $80 million. And the president accepted and said, even if we don't have the money, if Double Jala don't find the money, then he got a problem. That was something of that nature the president said. Double Jala will even find the money. Double Jala is the general, I guess, is the CEO of the LRA. You think by now, we are hearing that the vice president have renegotiated on behalf of the government to $22 million. The difference there is 57 million US dollars. Who tried to rob the Liberian people of 57? Somebody should be going to jail instead of talking about yellow machine. Your take?
Well, I think, yeah, you just nailed it on the head, right? Because it's baffling to think that we were at one point willing to spend 87 million on a set of yellow machines. And now those same yellow machines, all of a sudden, just by the flick of a finger like that, boom, it's 20 something million, and the thing is, look, like Mr. Tao, obviously he started before me. I think I joined a few months after, and we've been here for over a year now, and we've been assessing the performance of this government. And I think at the early stage, most of us accepted that this government does not have the Liberian people at heart, and they've not come in to do what is best for the people. They've come in purely on this nonsense that and basically it's painful. But today I won't rant, so I'll keep my voice low. It's painful for the Liberian people that the president of the republic will say to the guy who is supposed to collect taxes that, look, we've already set our tax code and we know how much we're supposed to raise from the tax code, but it's now on you to go and find 22 million from the Liberian people that are already suffering, right? To pay for some nonsense yellow machine that nobody has told us how these machines, Mr. Padmo, I think it was on his Facebook page, mentioned something the other day. How are we going to put this machine to work? How are we going to determine which county gets what machine? Because every county ain't got the same size. Nima County, for example, big. You can't get Nima County the same number of machine that you get Grand Crew. Because Grand Crew not as big. So where is the strategy? Where is the understand? Where is the plan? How do we know as a group of people call ourselves Liberians, whether you live in Liberia or you're in the diaspora, we all contribute financially to Liberia, whether it's through taxes or through remittances. How do we know how are these yellow machines going to be deployed? How is it going to benefit the ordinary people? I've been on a few shows recently on Focus on Liberia, where Deacon Carlo have been talking about 75 and Exano Kanda, no road there. Since 1970, we Roin Kanda here till now, no road. How do we know? And you are saying to me that the guy has to go and find the money. Like, how? Look, you use the phrase, Mr. Gaiman, sometime last year called smoke screen, right? And that is exactly what this government, I think we should, Mr. Gaiman, we need to call them the smoke screen government. No, honestly, I ain't joking. It's a serious matter. I'm laughing, but I ain't joking. Because it's like every time they do something stupid and they think the Liberian people will buy it. And then some of us come out and say, hey, we saw you. Then they will say something stupid to post more screen in our face. They will say, oh, they expect us to just go with it. Like, oh yeah, we managed to reduce the price of the yellow machine from 80. So okay, so how did you manage to agree 80 million in the first place? Because that's a question that needs answering. How did you agree to 80 million in the first place? If we didn't question it, how were we going to get under 22 million? Right? That's a question that needs to be answered. You can't say Toba Jara will go find money from where? Answer the question that we got on the table. How we move from 80 to 22? So why didn't you get 22 in the first place? So how we know, Mr. Gaming, that we can't go from 22 to 15? Because maybe it will say Mr. Padmo, because if Mr. Padmo make a negotiate, if we say Mr. Padmo, then I might bring it down to 15 million. How do we know we can go down to 15? But when we say now, some people say, oh, yeah, your opposition there, you're just here to criticize government. And Mr. Taiwan never been part of any opposition party before, and they just accusing him falsely.
Yep. Mr. Padmore.
Yes, sir.
When we're talking about if agriculture was the number one thing in the agenda here, you think they found 800 machines they bring you to, it would be like the guy in Burkina Faso, it would be all tractors and hoes and you name it thing to make farm. But we saw Joseph Boakai when he was vice president, we saw 50 grain, the John Deere machines that were delivered to Foya. It's still there. Those machines are still in Foya collecting dust. And those were real tractors. Those are for agriculture. Now he said he's bringing 285 machines. And we have gone from 80 million to 20 million. Somebody was trying to steal $57 million. Where is the Mamaka Kaba that were parading all over Monrovia on the top of the yellow machine, waving to people?
Mamaka ability.
Yeah, Mamaka ability. I'm sorry, Mamaka. Where she disappeared, so we don't even know whether she's still in the country. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it's Mamaka ability. Look, I asked a question to somebody this morning, and I still waiting for an answer because it actually goes to the heart of the issue. Why 285 machines? Who came up with that number? What was the thinking behind that number? 285. Because if you notice, that is the number. Whether it was 79 million or it was 22 million,
still
285 machines.
Still constant. It never changed.
Yes, that is the only constant in the whole thing. 285. Who came up with that number? And how did they come up with that number? That is how mind-boggling this whole saga is. So when you ask them, they say, oh, like Dr. Budi said, they'll say, oh, well, when we take 285 divided by 1519, every country will get 19 machines. So Magibi, small A Magibi will get 19 machines. Then Lofa County, Grenjide will get 19 machines. How much road you need to make in Magibi? For instance, how much road you need to make in Lofa?
Robert G.
Look at the topography of Liberia. Lofa is high forest. The machine you need to cut high forest, that's not the machine you need to be in Magibi. Who went and did the analysis to say we went from county to county, we surveyed the roads that are needed, we spoke with the people, we got their feedback, we sat down, we compiled our information, and Mr. President, this is what we've come up with. Magibi needs this amount, and these are the machines they are going to need. Lofa County needs this amount, and these are, we are about to spend $22 million. We have nothing on paper. Nothing. To even say, when the machine land at the port, where we'll park it, nobody know. Nobody can tell you where we're going to park 285 machine. Nobody can. We have nothing on paper. Nothing at all. All this is a deed that need to be crossed. That is the only thing that people have been consistent on. We need to cross the deed. We need to cross this deed. And people who I expect, I'm really disappointed. People who I expect to be intelligent enough to step back and say, wait, gentlemen, but how are we doing it? Did they change? Oh, 285 machine, it will change the dynamic. How? How will it change the dynamic? What did we learn the other day from the Nima politics? That when Edith Konglowa was superintendent, they imported 22 machines into Nima. Based on that logic and conception, all Nima was supposed to be open and fixed. Today, when I'm just be giving Nima some of the 285 because they get 22. But here we are. It's a basic. If we don't have a plane, you bring that machine, you just put it all in debt. That's all you're doing. You just put in Liberia in more. And the part that's mind-boggling, when you come to government and say, look, we have children in Rewaji that are sitting on the floor. They say, we know, you know, it's a government and get money, oh, yeah. But we're trying. We'll find the money. We really want to solve the Rewaji problem, but we get money. But as soon as they say 285 machine, they say, look, 20 million, you'll find the money. 20 million. When you're looking for $50,000 to change the dynamics of hundreds of children in Rewaji. Hundreds of children. They say, we get money. We get it. But you say, look, that's going to do 20 million. And you know, like, bro, every deal that cross 20 million, 10% is automatic.
Oh, yeah.
That thing you're checking, 20 million. Me, I'm checking the kickback. I don't even check the money. And then you call the money to me, they kick back and come back to me. That 2 million is what they are sitting on. It's what they are sitting on, you know? And the thing about it is, you know, nobody, all the people that we think, I mean, look, in our office, me, I'll be calling you. You get Grace Bay, you know? You get Mike Della. You get Kofi Woods. You get Charles Neto. These are people that can think.
Of course.
These are people that can think. None of them standing up and saying, Mr. President, look, hold up, slow down. What they playing? He hold the important committee together. Where's the yellow machine committee? Yeah. To say, okay, when it's in there, where are we going to pack it? Until we're ready to use it. Where are we going to do this? Why are we going to do that? For 285 machine, you need motor pool. You not just need garage.
Yeah. You
need motor pool. How are we going to create a motor pool? Have we spoken to the legislature? What is going to be the cost of maintaining these machines over the next 10 years? Have we sat down with the legislature to make sure that this money can fit in the budget? Nothing. Just bring a machine. When you bring a machine, then we'll figure it out. Recipe for disaster. But then again, a Liberia story. Thank you,
Mr. Dukley. Here we are with the yellow machine. Like Mr. Padmo said, we have no distribution list, where they're going to be housed, who's going to operate them. Do we have the manpower to operate 285 heavy-duty machines? Where are the training facilities, maintenance facilities, warehousing in each county? Because when we were growing up, public warehouse subdivision in every county. Okay, we have not seen any plan from the government whether we have these things set up before the machine can. The foundation should be set before the machine even arrive, but we have nothing. The only time you hear about this yellow machine is when something terrible go wrong in the country. They want to change the headline and they come out and say, in fact, the vice president is illegal. He has no right, because our constitution says all negotiation right to put the country in debt should begin while in the house. So how is it now that the vice president is claiming this glory that he single-handedly has gone and reduced it from 79 to 22 million dollars? Mr. Dukley, you been in government, you're a diplomat.
You know, Mr. Gamer, look, first of all, these yellow machines that we are talking about, to begin with, there is an institution that is established by law that's supposed to be in charge of procurement for the government. That's one. Two, the budgetary allocation for these yellow machines should have come from the House. That's number two. Now, the reason why I thought these two elements are crucial is that because these machines were brought in through, I would say, an illegal channel, and so that's why you saw the numbers that were given to us. I mean, by us, I mean the Liberian people. The numbers did not add up. And if you remember, Mr. Gaiman and my fellow panelists, if you remember, this issue of the yellow machines and the cars and who brought them and how were they in the country, everything was shrouded in secrecy until when people started saying, I mean, we need to know about these yellow machines. That was when we started hearing about, all the crazy numbers that they were throwing at us. And so this is all part of that pattern of governance where everything is haphazard. And sometimes it comes at a time when they're under pressure, and these things are used to distract people from the main issue. I mean, look, I think it's almost going to a year now since we heard about these yellow machines, and nothing concrete has actually been done to utilize these machines. But besides that, Mr. Gaiman, what happened with GSA? What is GSA role in the government? What are they supposed to be doing? Aren't they the agency mandated by law to do procurement for the government? If the answer to that question is yes, why aren't they part of this process? Why is it that they are not leading this process? Again, it just only reinforces the mentality, the way people govern, the way we have come to see things. You see, and sometimes you when you throw out these allegations, supporters of the party that you are accusing always they're always in arms and saying, oh, you guys are in the diaspora, all you do is criticize, you don't want to go and contribute, etc. But my take is the intention behind these things is another scheme to allow them to siphon as much money as they can behind this yellow machine scheme here, Mr. Gaiman. This is my take. I think that is the primary objectives, and in the end, these things will not materialize for the 5 year that Joseph Boakai is going to be in power for, because, like I said, first of all, there are a lot of things that should have been done before these machines were on the ground. Where are you going to put them, or where are you going to maintain them? Is there a facility to look after these machines? And if so, how are these machines going to be allocated into the various counties? And what is going to be the determining factor for every county? All of these things these are things that are supposed to have happened prior to these machines landing in Liberia. But again, if I just reminding my fellow panelists and listeners here that this yellow machines issue came out. We were told it was through a friend who was trying to help Joseph Boakai, and so many stories came up until finally we got some answers behind these yellow machines. I think what you saw right now, what is happening is a continuation of that whole scheme that was put together by Joseph Boakai and the folks around him. So what you're seeing now is not any different from when this whole thing started. They are finding a way to use this yellow machine to siphon some more money from the Liberian people. It's just plain and simple.
Mr. Honorable Namwe, we've been talking about, I say we have discussed it ad nauseum. We're supposed to be sick of it, but for some reason it is not going away. It's like a trump card. Every time they're in trouble, they pull this trump card to distract her. We will be talking exclusively about people almost losing their lives at the airport, which you also agree to is like a national security issue. Instead, there goes the yellow machine again. We're talking about this yellow machine. We have no contract. It was a gentleman's agreement. Miss was all over the place, parading all over Monrovia. They say we put the opposition to shame. They were praying so the machine doesn't come. The machine is here. Turned out the machine never arrived. It was a prototype. Now here we are. They blame it on bird. The bird, so the bird went away. The electricity went dark. The whole city went dark again. Now nobody mentioning bird at all. Everybody gone silent. So I want you to finish this off and then start on the third piece here, which is this war and economic crime. The executive director of the War and Economic Crime Court says they are broke. There is no money. Will we ever have war and economic crime court? So finish on the yellow machine, take your own yellow machine to Gilebo or Gaco, wherever you can, if you can get it there, because if you can't get a regular motorbike to go to your hometown, how the hell are you going to get the machine there? Go and take your 19 machine.
Well, you say we've been discussing it ad nauseum, but it we keep talking about it because I think it epitomizes the judgment calls of our leaders of today. I mean, Dr. Booty, just for instance, simple thing as equal distribution, equity, right? Distribution of these machines. They're giving every county the same amount of machines. How much thought do you think goes into that process? The counties obviously are not equally equal, but everyone gets 19 pieces. But for those who may have missed out on this, the president called a retreat back in May, and during that time, the process was hijacked by the minister of our portfolio. That's where she made this earth-shattering presentation, and everybody in attendance was clapping, including the president. You understand me? And then you just gave the chronology of the development of the issue, Jerome, from 80-something million dollars. When people started asking questions, but what are these for? Where are they from? What is the intent in all of these questions? The president then wrote the nation telling us the Liberian government was not going to pay a dime for these machines, that in fact they were a gift from a friend who wanted to help with the arrest agenda. A couple of weeks later, we heard the LRA being called upon to make advance payment, and that's when this whole thing started crumbling. Then the president took it over from the minister and gave it to the vice president. And this minister goes to work every day. The fact that he took this matter from her and give it to another person to make a deeper dive, it brings her credibility into question. Why is she still serving in government? But she goes to work in the mansion every day and she's getting paid. So he gives this matter to the vice president. The vice president spent, odious amount of time on this matter, which clearly violate the PPCC, process from the time the minister made his presentation to him giving it to the vice president. Now we heard the vice president made his report, cutting it from 80 million to 22 million. And now we understand he's going to go with another president whose bid is even higher than what the vice president is giving. This is what we're hearing, So really, it brings into really question, the judgment call of this current leadership. Are they really committed to, helping our people? Or this is just an excuse for them to come in here, enrich themselves, and walk away into sunshine after 6 or 12 years, whatever it is. But whatever it is, their intention, this is bad. It is bad for our people, and we're watching. They will all be judged by their performance in this government. It will be a good thing, a beautiful thing, if they can settle this thing and bring roads to our country. Carlos said it. Dr. Budi was referring to it. Where I'm from, you have to walk from the car road to go to where I'm from in Barobo. We don't have any, there was some road brought in there way back in the 80s, but because it's not being maintained, and that was from before I was born. So there are lots of places, very far-reaching, interior of our country that need these roads. They are good for the health system. They're good for education. They're good for agriculture. They're good for everything. Our people can then bring their goods to the market, fetch better prices, and exchange their goods. It is good for all of us. But why is it so difficult for them to do it right? Only because they want to steal. They want to use this as an excuse to fatten their pockets and walk away. Imagine we've come from $87 million to $22 million, and nobody has been fired. Nobody has even been suspended. Is this a serious government? I mean, I'm asking, yeah, like all of us are asking here. How do we allow this to continue? Since May of last year, no head has rolled on this matter. And you think they still enjoy our, they still enjoy our confidence? I mean, everything they do now going forward, we will second guess them. Is there not a better version of what you guys are doing? Because time after time, they're proving us right that they're not even thinking on the matters. Look at the distribution of the machine we're talking about. Even a first grader can do the math and tell you, but you cannot give every country the same amount of machine. How difficult is that? It's not rocket science, So look, I will pass it on. I don't have anything else to say. Let me stay here. Continue to challenge them.
Let me get 30 seconds. Let me get 30 seconds, please, Mr. Green, because
let me just talk about
I think one of the things
when you don't, I'll come back in.
Yeah, I think one of the things we need to look at here, and we've talked about it recently. This is where the legislature should be performing as the first branch of government, because it is their duty and responsibility to hold the executive to account. So they should be asking the top question: how is it that this thing has gone from 87 million to 22? That is the legislature's job. But no, those idiots are sitting there just trying to steal money from the Liberian people, arguing who's supposed to be speaker, who's not supposed to be speaker, collecting 15,000 and 8,000 a month, and do not care about the ordinary people. They should be calling whomever, the mama cow, whatever her name to clear or her name partner, whatever her name is, they're supposed to be calling her into the legislature and be asking her the top question. How is it that they think going from 87 million to 22? Who are trying to steal the 57 million yet? Who, Mr. President, you need to fire that person. That is the job of the legislature.
Wow.
Oh,
30 seconds, please. 30 seconds.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so I didn't go on a war economic rank over.
One second.
Come on.
Go ahead, Mike.
Go ahead.
So I'm reminded of a very short story. I had an aunt in Liberia, elderly woman, and we were concerned about her safety. So, we're able to find somebody, this guy, to come stay in the house, just to kind of help around the house, cut the grass and stuff. And the exchange was, you will get food every day, we'll send you to school, all that stuff. One of his tasks for the day, every evening, was he would walk to the market and buy the block of ice and bring it back home. He did that every day. One day, the woman was coming home, and she said, "Oh, but since I'm already on my way home, I will just stop to buy the ice." The woman stopped to buy the ice. She found it after half price. Yes! That guy had been robbing the woman for over a year. The woman get a woman the money. The woman said, "Oh, no, mama, not in the press though. In the press yet. Get a woman her money back." She said, "What?" She said, "But then the bug can get me." No, but it's the same thing. If Mama can come to you and tell you, "I got a deal for 79 million," and you go to look yourself and find out that it is not so, why are you keeping that woman there? For what reason? But anyway, I just thought to bring it up.
Yeah. Before I go to Taiwan to start off on the third piece here, the ultimate fan of On Point, Mr. Sam Wallow, has returned. The women college game just finished. So he finished the game now. He just ran all here and he come here with the country dying. You guys are here praying for this thing to fail. That's what he said. Hope the administration fails.
Wallow should be ashamed of himself.
But for us, he should be embarrassed.
But for us, that bro will be paying 79 million for that same machine. But
and that's
why
I call him another lazy fanatic.
Yes.
I think he's just a lazy
people are saying Wallow there.
I thought he was an intellectual.
They would have sat there and allowed Liberia
but
$79 million.
Yes.
Mr. Gayman.
Let me go. Yeah, real quick. Let me go to.
I'm just curious. Why is it that no one has questioned the disparity between those two numbers?
Well, we're doing it now. We're doing it here.
No, I mean, I don't mean us. I don't mean us. I mean Liberia.
Well, guess what? Everybody who's supposed to be asking have had a hand in the cookie jar. Mr. Tawo, war crime court, your best subject. Do you love the war crime court? The man from the war crime court told us now, my people, they think what basically was a fly. There is no money in it, it's a shell. They put it in it, there is no money in it. Obviously, somebody was depending on Trump to fund it for them. They said the international community, USAID, all these people got no money. Mr. Tawo, I said it 2 years ago here. War crime court is a political subject. It will never go anywhere. It will never happen. There will be no war economic crime court. And Sam Wallow here said we should give him credit. At least he tried. The man have finally said it. There is no money. The place is broke. They were dependent on international community. There is no money. Absolutely no money. They only have money to pay staff, but not to operate.
You know, this is the problem that we have. The government in Liberia, whether this one or all government before them, to the best of my knowledge, we accuse the Liberian people of being lazy or being wanting to be beggars, that they should pick themselves up with their bootstrap, but yet they have a boot and the shoe list is somewhere else. Anytime a little money is mentioned, other than they're ready to run in there, without even looking at what the consequences will be for the country. War and economic crime should have taken place the moment that war was over in 2005, or at least when Taylor was removed and they were trying to set up the new government. But the Americans themselves, they were not serious, or the so-called international community, because their darling girl was coming to power to give them everything to create the very problem that we are discussing here today. So to have implemented that, it would have also disqualified her. And I continue to ask the question, all of the people, most of the major people that are responsible, some of the corporates are in this government, in the house, in government in different areas. How are you going to do this? Are you going to dismantle the government and remove them in order for you to persecute them? And I mentioned it here that this is just, remember, the USAID told us that they put $1 billion on early time in our agriculture. When I say that, people want to get upset. But look at Liberia agriculture. What, even 100 million invested in it? No, these are people that set up these things, come to us that are here, that taxpayers. They launder money from here. They loot it in the name of these countries, in the name of aid. That's what the war crime code just was about. They thought that this was going to be another chopping spot. Alan White now don't have a job. He going around. He went over there, met with Bwaka, and they thought they were going to use it for this. And the group that is in Liberia, the president and his own people, thought that they cannot attach themselves to this and list it. The War and Economic Crime Code. Why we want for people to pay, but it's too late, especially with the setup. The most that we can do is the Economic Crime Code is the one that we can actually really probably have a real chance. Because as we said, economic crime is being committed right now in the name of 22 million for road for car to not get stuck, for the yellow machine, for LEC, for airport, for all of these things. These areas can be persecuted. But when we said it here, when it came up, they told us, it's not going to work. Because it's never intended to work. It's not even, how are you going to do it? They said some guy in London explained it. Something you explain on paper is one thing else. We are looking at the reality on the ground. So that is what we are seeing. They all were attached to it. Both the group from America here and the group in Liberia, so that it can be somewhere where they just put money. Guess what? Trump came and he cut the whole thing. Now let them go ahead and persecute it. No, because it cannot be persecuted. Are you going to bring Ellen back because they were named in that document that she can't walk? You're going to put in wheelchair and be bringing her to court every day, or you're going to leave her out, or you're going to take Prince Johnson from the grave, or you're going to go and arrest how you call this guy, the one that is always cursing, the one that is always cursing. Huh?
Yeke,
are you going to pick up Yeke them? Are you going to go pick up Nukwe? Nukwe, they were rebel. We saw them in Kakata all over the place. Are you going to go pick them up? Because they are direct beneficiary of this stuff. So you see the whole thing, it was never really going to work. It was just something that they were going to use for them to be able to make some money. And now since the money was cut, and I hope that let America use their own money for their own benefit. Trump is right. Let them cut this across the world. Their countries are listening to the president of, I think it was Poland or somewhere. He said we are happy. Look, one of the members of parliament said we are happy that USAID have been defunded. Let them go. He said because everywhere you look, they're destabilizing government. They're all funding opposition, and that's just what it is.
Thank you.
Let me just clarify. The man
Yes.
in London that Mr. Tao were talking about, and I mean,
listen, you remember the tale I always tell you. They say they were having all the animals that were having party, having a great time, and the penguin walking with looking like his tuxedo on. And he said, all the ugly people in this party get out. Babu Gala said, why are you talking about me like that? The man said, oh, I didn't even mention anybody's name. The man called your name. He said nothing.
He said one man from London. I just want to clarify. I didn't want to
100 million men in London, only you the one kid there, not me. Dr. Booty, the War and Economic Crime Court, this one here, I predicted years ago. The errors came in from the very beginning when they decided to have this interim government where they divided the nation into groups and every warring faction had their own agency or ministry, and they enriched themselves and they bought themselves right into government. All those guys got enough money to be elected for 9 years. They cemented themselves. They are million years over, and they are the one that are supposed to vote for that court. It's like people say, when I get into the Senate, when I get into the legislature, I'm gonna push for to cut salary and all that will cut down the salary, will cut down the benefit, without telling us that this thing was a law that was passed on the early. And for it to be adjusted, it has to be repealed legally through vote. So here we are, War Crime Court has to be voted on by the Senate and the House. And most of the men and women that are supposed to actually vote on this were all members and partaker of the war crime, of the war that we are trying to criminalize. How logistically and sensibly this thing would make sense to anybody. I know it wouldn't happen, but people say what's going to happen. I was not optimistic, so everybody was saying, you don't like this country. And here we are. The man has said and vindicated most of us. He says the agency is broke. In America here, the Republican has a term. I think Pablo may be familiar with this. They say, starve the beast. Now, Ronald Reagan did that. He said the liberal government is so big. The only thing you have to do when they talk USAID, just don't fund it. Take it out of the line item. It would die a natural death. So here we are. Joseph Boyka knew that he did not want this War and Economic Crime Court. So what you do, you set up the agency, the people clap for you, then you starve it to death. You only give them money to create jobs for people to pay themselves, but they have no function. They can't do anything. This is where we are. The man said they are broke.
Well, first of all, so basically, my opinion on the War and Economic Crimes Code in Liberia, I published in an article I wrote in the Foreign Press Africa on the 11th of March, 2024. And look, my position is, look, we had an opportunity when we came out of the war in 2003 to then set up a War and Economic Crimes Code to prosecute everyone who committed atrocities in our country, kill people, and destabilize our country as badly as they did. All right. And we missed the boat. Right. the opportunity that we had, we missed that opportunity. Once we decided to go for the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, as we did, that automatically meant we could not go back and then change the goalpost, right? Most of the testimonies that we were going to use in this so-called War and Economic Crimes Court were testimonies that were provided under the notion that you are not going to be prosecuted. So you come and tell your truth in terms of what horrible things you did, and you'll be forgiven by the people. And if it rises to a level where we think maybe you did something so bad, you might be banned from running for office and blah, 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 blah. President Shirley said in 2008 she was going to implement fully the outcome of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission report. When the report came out, she took it, she put it on something on her shelf, and everything that shelf was in her office, she left it to her husband. So she never implemented the report because it was going to have an impact on her and wouldn't be able to run for government. My thing is here, look, when it comes to Liberia, when it comes to how we decide to do things, it must be done based on what we want. You can't get somewhere lady moving from America, come to Liberia, soon Joseph Boakai get elected, and then boop, she said we want war crimes code, and everybody start running around. Yeah, let's set up war crimes code, let's set up war. No. We cannot allow the Americans to keep dictating to us why and how we should do what we want to do in Liberia. If we believe that it's good for us, we should have done it. Since we didn't do it, it's because we didn't believe it was good for us. You can't come in 20 years or 20-something years later, some lady come from the US, undersecretary for whatever, and say, oh, let's bring up war crime code and prove we go and do it. Like you said, Mr. Gabin, this president, one of the things that he knows how to do is set up committees. And I'm glad my brother, Mr. Padmo, or AKA Ansumana, said very clearly, where the yellow machine on the committee, we're still waiting for it. Because I won't be on that committee, or that yellow machine committee, I won't be on it. Because at the end of the day, we need me on that yellow machine committee so I can know what happened. Why we move from 7 anyway? Let me not go back to that. Look,
but I thought that the committee, the vice president already heading.
Yeah, the War Crimes Code Committee was set up purely to waste Liberian people money. Similarly to the asset recovery, like Mr. Tao have been saying for months. Similarly to every other committee that this president has set up, including the inauguration committee that collected money from NASCOP, that today we still know how that money was spent, right? They just set up these committees to reward their cronies at the detriment of the Liberian people, right? And this is unacceptable. The RNIK, sorry, it's horrible what I'm about to say. The RNIK preachers with the War Crime Committee they set up, now, the preachers in that, they say one leader here and they keep wasting our country money. They need to stop it.
Great. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, we are almost at the end of our program here. Mr. Namwe, this is your area, the progressive, your led justice business, your war and economic crime court. And in your midst, Joseph Boakai was once part of your progressive movement?
He was a part of the UPP, that's correct.
There you go. Mr.
Padmo, he contested in the 1997 primary. So
being part of the UPP doesn't mean he was a progressive.
Mr. Namwe, your trump card has been the people been telling the progressive story the wrong way. We need to tell our own story. Before I even go to you, Mr. Padmo, can Victor really tell this story here the way Boakai can tell it?
No, it doesn't. Not even close. Not even close. But I'm glad that a progressive has somehow landed on the throne.
That's right.
So now they will never say no one had chance. We're never giving a chance. Now it is clear that they have been giving a chance. Yeah, we
Mr. Namwe, is it a low blow here? Because this man, he tried to steal. In the old days, they say he tried to steal you. You're ready to get hit you.
You know what? Padmo is drawing me down the rabbit hole, but I will not follow him there. Let him go ahead. Let him go ahead. I never said Joseph Boca was ever a progressive. He spent maybe a minute or two with the UPP, and I think he was interested in the presidency because he ran the primary. He didn't win, and he left. But notwithstanding, he has maintained friendship with most of the guys. I know a lot of our guys are they meet Joe Baca and they talk. And I maintain, I think this president, I think he came in with good intentions, but I think one, I think he's limited by I don't want to bring in the age factor, but I think he's limited by, the fact that he may not be able to sit and do long readings, and digest what is happening. And this is why I thought, he needed to surround himself with a lot of young people who have the stamina to read through the presidential briefings and keep track of what is happening, because as small as Liberia may be, the presidency is there's a lot of things coming at you at once, so you need to be able to address these things. You cannot afford to put something down for a while, because there's something else going to come in and overtake that. So I thought he needed a very, very, solid team around him. But I don't know to what extent, he avails himself to this team. I mean, Kofi is a very smart guy. He's in there. Anthony Cassidy is also very smart. He's in there. Augustine Conan, you may not know. Augustine Conan was on cutting with me. He was on the staff then, but he was our PE instructor. We got very close. One time I took after him. I was trying to get fit. He almost killed me in 2 weeks. I quit. I told him I'm not doing that again. But he's being a Fulbright scholar. He's very smart. So I can go and count the number of people who I believe are available to this president for advice. And those are just the people in the mansion. He is the president of Liberia. He can call any Liberian from anywhere and get advice. So, including some of you guys who are sitting right here. He can do that. But it's a question of his willingness to do that or his capacity. I think there's a certain amount of arrogance with this UP government. They think they know it all. They won this, and therefore the victory, they take all, the spoils. But I think it's a mistake. Winning the election, first of all, they won the election with less than 25,000 votes. So that should tell them something, But they're not reaching out and they're making themselves look stupid, because it's a smart person who knows their limitations and when and how to go and get help. That's what makes you smart. It doesn't mean you know everything, but you're smart because you go and grab all of the help available. You put it together, and then you look smart like that. They're failing on all fronts, and they don't want to accept that. They don't want to admit it. But look around you. Everywhere they put their hand, they're failing, including this now, the War and Economic Crimes Court. A lot of us hailed this president because we thought Ellen Johnson ran away from the issue. George Weah ran away from the issue. So he came in and lifted the issue. So I praised him on this very platform. I said to him, we thought it was a good thing, and we were hoping that, he'll be able to deliver on it. But look where we are now. And he's doing the classic thing that all these people do when they don't want something to happen. They starve it of funding. He's now funding the commission. How does he expect it to operate? How? He got their hands tied behind their backs, and we expect them to function. The War Chronicles should not be about Prince Johnson. The fact that Prince Johnson has departed, it should mean the death of the. There are a lot of people around Monrovia today in government and other places who should be brought to justice. It is the linchpins of our reconciliation in our country. We need to have it. We need to bring closure to these matters. And I'm sure this president understands this. So, but he's fumbling on it as he has been doing on many other issues. It is unfortunate. But again, like I said, I'm almost giving up now. I'm at a point now where I'm just waiting for 2029, so that we can take a decision. But I am tired of giving them, second chances and hoping that, their grasp and grip on things is just around the corner. Because every time we turn the corner, they fumble. Every time we turn the corner, they fumble. So we'll see. I listened to the interview of the Dr. Babu, Jala Babu, formerly dean of the law school. These are capable people. I think they can do the job. They need to be given the opportunity. Same thing with the asset recovery. Everything else, it's just a joke. And it makes you wonder what the priorities of this government are. What? Agriculture? Where's the agriculture? Roads? Where the roads? Tourism? Where's the tourism? Sanitation? Where is it? Where is anything? The only thing that they're very faithful though is buying those big cars, putting money aside for machinery, over $40 million, and giving the airport $3 million, and we expect the airport to really function. Why you think he's not firing people? Because he knows exactly what he's doing. He's crippling these institutions by withholding funding from them and giving them money to people in places that it is not needed. That's what the problem is. That's what the problem is.
Wow.
Priorities are upside down.
Great. Mr. Padmore, we have an issue on our hand here, and I consider it a national security issue. In Liberia, the foreign nationals have always had extensive power. There were one in the Georgia government, the Chinese guy, he used to call himself the real minister for lands and mines and energy. A Chinese man will tell other Chinese people, you are not going to get contract in this country. He's telling Indonesian, I will approve your contract. Then I take it to the minister, he signs off on it, and he was making deed on the side, going around the world, calling himself the real minister. Today, we have Mr. Jetty, who is now the godfather of Liberia, to the point where he has bought everybody, including, from what we understand, allegedly, he has even bought the court system. But listen to this. A lady by the name of Ms. Boyman has been in jail. She's the former for the union. She has her secretariat. The entire secretariat was put in jail, from what we know, because Jetty said she started a violent protest, and right after the protest, there was a fire, and the fire went into a rubber farm and destroyed some trees. So they arrested her, and she had not been bailed out since. But the irony of this case is, listen to this by Front Page Africa. The Civil Society Network of Liberia has dismissed allegations linking prominent businessman Abji Singh Sajwava, commonly known as Jetty, to the prolonged detention of individuals arrested in connection with a violent protest at the Salala Rubber Corporation in Wheeler, Mangibi County. Then it went on to say, they have clarified that Mr. Jetty is not involved. Can you imagine it's supposed to be, these people are supposed to be fighting on behalf of the common people, the people that they're supposed to represent. They flipped the script and said, Mr. Jetty is not involved at all. And they are on the side of Jetty. Jetty is the Pontius Pilate here, washes his hands and say, I know nothing about it, you'll go and do. And the people who supposed to be defending our people in civil society are defending Mr. Jetty, that he's innocent, and these people should be in jail literally because they have accused an innocent man of being behind that. And then the court have not given any reason why these people cannot receive bail. And they've been in jail for weeks. Mr. Padmore, I know you read this story before. We have all seen it. It's pathetic. A Liberian group of Liberians are put in jail by a foreign national.
Well, okay, so let's try to clear the weeds.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so the first thing is technically a foreign national cannot put a Liberian in jail for a crime.
That's correct.
Only the government can do so. So if Mr. Jetty is somehow involved in this, that means he is working in cohorts with the government to have this happen. The second thing is that, according to our Constitution, no one can be held over 48 without a charge. And once that person is charged, unless for extenuating circumstances, that person should be given access to bail, right? Especially if it's a bailable offense. I am shocked that this workers' union does not have a legal team that that they have, that they pay regularly to represent them. I'm shocked that this has not been brought, to the media as it should. And that is where my shock lies. I haven't been able to find out why, and that is where I'm really curious about. Of course, time immemorial, we have seen this. As a matter of fact, Liberia is noted for that. We have always been very open-armed and welcoming to foreigners, sometimes even to our own detriment. We have not used that for our development or progress. More or less, we just used it really to bring us down. I'm hopeful. I don't know enough about why she is still in jail. I tried to research it a little bit when the topic came up in the chat room before the program, and I could not get any headway on why she is still in jail. Why has the court not afforded her bail? And I could not find anything. I'm hoping that as this is brought up and this is exposed to the media, that part of the story will come up, and then we can all kind of then make a judgment. Look, Mr. Jetty, whoever it is, he has an investment. He has an obligation to protect his investment. If somebody goes and burns down his place, I don't believe in violence. I've never been, a proposal of violence. If somebody comes and burns down his investment, he should seek redress through the courts. Yes, we invite that. However, the courts are supposed to be blind. Lady justice is supposed to be blind, and everyone should be treated equal under the law. And if for any reason that this lady is not being treated equally under the law, then civil society should step in and make a bold statement. I'm hoping we can get more information on this, but for now, I will try my best. I will remain involved. I will remain open-eared, open-minded, but I will try my best to withhold any condemnation yet of Mr. Jetty until I can get the full story.
But Mike, do you really think? I mean, I read his civil societies.
Yeah,
I read his civil societies. Their input into this matter, and I was just really left confused.
Yes.
Is that really their place? I mean, what are they trying to say?
I have no
how
idea.
How did they become a part of this?
They didn't say.
No, I was so confused. How did they get into this matter? And they seem to be now posing themselves as the spokespeople for Mr. Jetty. I don't understand that.
Yes, and that's very concerning. Very concerning. Hopefully we'll get more.
I think
1 minute, or Douglas. It says here, contrary to speculation, the businessman is not influencing the court's decision, according to civil society.
And how did they know all this?
That's right. Handling of the case against the workers, the former workers' union president, Madam Mary Boyman, her Secretary General Lawrence Bobo, and others in the group are still said to have been arbitrarily arrested and detained since. And the government of Liberia is persecuting Madam Boyman and her colleague for their alleged role in the violent June 27, 2024 protest against the former management of SRC. The statement issued by the civil service through the executive director said Mr. Jetty only took over the corporation and furthered the case. So here you are. Jetty says, in fact, Jetty is not saying anything. He got people speaking for the Liberian people. The organization that's supposed to speak on behalf of the union is saying they are protecting Jetty against their own Liberian national. And not, I expected them to be saying to the Liberian government, you cannot keep somebody in jail for 6 weeks without affording them a bill, denying them bail. They did not commit a crime that is non-billable. It's impossible. Instead of the civil society talking about that, they are defending. I mean, we are all investors in Liberia, and we want to invest. We want to make sure we protect our investment, but still, we have to do it in conformity with the law. People's right, the workers' right, the human right, all intertwined. Dr. Booty, we got 5 minutes left here, 1 minute on this, and then you're closing.
I want Mr. Tao.
Yeah, Tao next.
Wait. Mr. Patton, why, man? That's how wait. What are you talking about?
Houston
has a problem.
He let people from England.
Yeah, Houston has a problem. Yeah, like Houston wait.
You know, the revolution, we revolted against the king. That's why we're here. You over there.
Houston wait. Houston used to be part of Mexico before. You know, anyway. Look, I think everything that needs to be said has been said. You know, and I'm glad to have Mr. Nangwe on here because I think he touched on the point that I would have raised, which is why is the civil society organization speaking on behalf of a private businessman, right? Because civil society is supposed to be catering to the needs of this ordinary people in Liberia. And one would think that the people in prison are the ordinary people, right? In Liberia, not Mr. Jetty. Mr. Jetty is not an ordinary man. Mr. Jetty is a businessman who is very wealthy. He has the capacity to hire lawyers to speak on his behalf. So why is the civil society organization speaking on his behalf? It looks to me that these guys' hands have been greased. And these are the issues that Liberia has that we're having to grapple with as a people. That our institutions that are supposed to be protecting ordinary people are protecting the wealthy, are protecting the people who can grease their hands. And you have these people in prison. Look, I'm not saying because look, burning somebody's farm is a crime. Right? Deliberately burning somebody's farm is a crime. It's possible that it was a mistake. So if it was deliberate, it is a crime. And they are supposed to be prosecuted. But you cannot have civil society, like Mr. Gaiman said, then preaching on behalf of Jetty instead of saying, oh, my people being in jail for more than, 48 or 72 hours. Or you're supposed to tell what their bail conditions are so that their family members can then come forth and maybe pay the bill or whatever they need to do to get these people out whilst we're waiting for them to go to trial. So I'll hand over to Mr. Tao because look, there's nothing more to say. Mr. Dangwe already covered most of it. This is just this is something that is wrong with our country, right? The fact that the civil society organization can come out in defense of a wealthy businessman that has lawyers at his disposal against ordinary Liberians who do not have anyone to speak for them.
Waller, thank you, Dr. Booty. Waller is praying me into a recess, and I will not take a recess. I will do it.
You see what is happening here?
Mr. Tao.
Yeah, all these NGOs, local, were created so that they can hold on certain fabric of your society, sold and funded by USAID and a European cousins. So as long as they was funded, if you listen, you always hear the international community, international standard, and all of this stuff. They are just as corrupt as the government, but USAID funding has been pulled. All the organizations not going to be looking for, they're not going to be for profit. So JT is able to fund them. But no, that is so you see the people that once were claiming to be ethical and all this stuff.
Mr. Tao, that's not an excuse to
No, I'm not
betray
saying it's
their
an excuse.
mission.
No,
No,
I'm
it's
not
not
saying
an
it's an
excuse.
But
Yeah,
that is
you can't betray your
Listen,
mission for
man.
that.
Listen,
the people have sold their integrity.
did I say it was an excuse? I'm saying that is a reason because you guys are saying you don't understand, and I'm giving you the reason. Because so that you can know that none of them were really real, that they were all being funded from one area. They sang the song of that area. Now that the funding has been pulled, they're all now up for whoever, and you will see them speaking for representatives and senators and president and superintendent, whoever can now fund them. So they actually just need to be dissolved because they had no real value. They didn't have any foundation on which they stood, no real policy position. They were just there to make some money. The money has been pulled. GT was able to buy them, give them some little money. They speak for him. But look, to close it, let me just close. Liberia is in a very, very difficult position. Whether we agree with it or whatever our positions may be or our viewpoints, the government and the governing system we have for us is not working. It is not working. It needs to be looked at. Election is not going to help us. Electoral politics is a fraud in Liberia. Every other candidate, the corruption we're talking about didn't just start here. It started at the inception of the party, the funding of the political parties or people, and then towards the election. Who is paying for these things? These are the questions that we should ask, and you see that there are always people funding them. And if people can fund them, these people are investors. And these political leaders or parties are promising something to them. They're promising the resources of the country. This is how we end up here. So we have to try to, it is not difficult. Look, let us get out of the mindset that whatever somebody gave us, that we cannot function without the white man's form of governing or without the Chinese man's form of economic. No, we can. The might of these people is only in our mind. We functioned before. We led the world before. We don't want to even look at our own history for us to see how did we do it. History is not a thing of the past. History is always in the present. It's because of history that means you can sit here. The things that we can recall for us to say in 1987, that's history. We use that for us to guide ourselves. We are the only people in the world we are told, forget about everything about your own history. Drop your own culture. Come, we have a prescription for everything designed. This is it. Take it. No, it's not going to work. All of Africa is struggling with the same thing. And why do you think Nkrumah, Admin Bembela, Olympio, Lumumba, all these people had to be killed off? I'm not saying anything new. This is what they were saying because they saw it, that you must move and function within your own culture and tradition and your own. They killed them off. They were betrayed by other Africans. Then since then, we took what they gave us and we have been using it for since 1885 and all the way coming 19 is not working. So why can't we look at what they were talking about? Why can we try to re-examine the some of us that are here that say we are educated? Because for me, this is where I want for this conversation to begin. Yeah, we can come here and talk about yellow machine, all this stuff. These are the symptoms. Why can't we start looking from there and try to start recrafting these things and look? And even we want to hold on to what we have now, why can't we change some stuff? Why can't we say, okay, this constitution is not working? These guys are setting their own benefits. They set their own salary. No, this cannot be allowed. We see that corruption in the house come mainly in when they're passing concession and when they are passing budget. Why can't we say, let us make a law that take that out of their hands? Why can we examine these things in a way? But when I say here, I meet all this resistance. What we are trying to push is the same old thing. It will never work.
Thank you. One thing that you have to give Mr. Taiwo credit for is he is consistent. The system has not worked in the past. It's not working now, and it's a great chance we can say it will not work in the future. Your closing, Mr. Victor Nambi.
Thank you very much, guys. Great show. I appreciate your company. I also want to thank our audience.
And take a break.
Yes, and I'm taking a break. Not until 2020, now until
I'll get
next
him in
Sunday.
the wife. I will help Sam Water will get him in the wife some kind of ticket so they can be gone to 2029.
But God willing,
Mr. Wallo,
we'll be
you
back.
just got message.
Yes.
You want Mr. Nambi to take a break, saying a hotel ticket, a flight ticket to Hawaii for a whole year. Then he will take a break. Until then, don't call him. Go ahead.
But thank you very much, great show. I just appreciate being here. I think I've said everything I needed to say. Thank you.
Great. Mr. Dukley.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Gaiman, and I want to say thank you to my fellow panelists. I just wanted to, touch on some of the things we talk about. I was really pissed and really angry when the civil society organization were actually speaking on behalf of Mr. Jetty. I mean, it is perversive. It is just, for me, it just reinforced this notion that Mr. Jetty is in cahoots with the government. That's one, and the other thing is, look, as much as we try to be, you try your hardest to be as objective as you can possibly be, but then when you see things that happens in Liberia and you read about it, it just throws you away. I mean, look, law enforcement and law and order, law enforcement in our country, the foreigners have always been, they've always gotten away with whatever they did. There was never anything consequential on whatever they did. I mean, if you go back to the Lebanese and what they've done in Liberia, and so it is with that mentality that we have always operated. And so, what is it that Jerry will want in Liberia, and he can afford? I mean, he can afford the best lawyers Liberia has to offer. He can do anything. But I know for some, who knows, whatever amount it is, they must have been given some money for them to be speaking on his behalf. I mean, I was confused when I first read about them defending Mr. Jetty. But again, I mean, looking at how things works in Liberia and how things have worked, and Mr. Tawa says something, and I've always said something like that. Right now, whatever we do, I think we should have had a new constitution that will reflect on our new reality post-war Liberia. But unfortunately, we never did that. I think it's about time that people seriously consider the new constitution for Liberia, so that the new constitution will address, some of the ills that led us to the stupid, senseless war we had. And one of the things that I put that I was suggesting on this platform, you should have laws in there that will rigorously enforce the anti-corruption laws that are already on the books, and people should be accountable for whatever. If you were a minister and you didn't declare your asset when you were out of government, and we suddenly found that you are wealthy, you need to explain how you got wealthy. I mean, some of the things that we need to arrest before things got any worse. And unfortunately, we put our faith in Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, who came and laid the foundation for some of the things that we are dealing with today. And Joseph Walker is the product of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. And so I'm not surprised at all to see him, governing the way he is. With that said, I just hope some well-meaning Liberians who are within the government will find it within themselves, to see sense in some of these things that we say on these platforms. So I have said it here, and I will say it here again. I was one person who said I was cautiously optimistic when Unity Party government came to be, but it looks like all the signs are just going the opposite direction. And let's pray for our nation.
Well, let's pray for our nation. For those of you who are intellectuals, they say what? Prayer and hope is not a strategy. So here we are. We have done everything. We've been talking and talking and talking, but that's what we are supposed to do. We're supposed to flag these things, and those who are in power hope that you will forget and let it go. And we've been talking about it. We will be talking about it, and we're talking about it now. Well, until then, I will leave the rest with Mr. Patmore to do his closing and then take us home.
Oh, I'm closing too?
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. You see, you getting back at you, sir. Anyway, congratulations to my Yukon Huskies. They destroyed South Carolina. I picked Yukon and I picked the University of Florida. So tomorrow we'll bring it. It would be a complete setup. Yes, Dr. Booty. Before you go, tell the king I say hi. Is that a queen in our play anymore? No queen, right?
It's a side chick.
Okay, side chick. Okay.
The king guy is too.
Go ahead.
I just want to push back on a couple of things initially that Mr. Duke said. I think first of all,
we saw this side chick thing.
No, it's not just foreigners that can buy power. The law in Liberia. Mr. Padmo has been buying the law for a long time, so it's not just foreigners. And also, I want to push back on the fact that it shouldn't be encouraging Mr. Tao with his notion about system thing, because he hasn't come up with any solution to the replacement of the system. Right? You see, the system corrupt. Mr. Tao hasn't come up with a solution to it yet. Look, it's been a great show. I think, unfortunately, we're in a place now where our country is in a rut, and something needs to change, and something needs to change soon. Whether it be birds flying to the RIA, the whole lot of birds can fly, the only RIA can fly, whether it be what's happening in terms of war crimes, caught in Liberia, and the waste in terms of the office itself. I'm happy that we are here every Sunday. I'm happy that we are always talking about the issues, and I'm looking forward to next week again when we can come back here and keep holding power's feet to the fire. So thank you so much, Mr. Gaiman, for today, and I look forward to next week as well.
Great, Mr. Padmore. The king has spoken. Now you can take us home. After you do your closing. Your closing, Mr. Padmore.
You can talk again.
You scared of me.
All right. No. Okay, sorry, man. Look, I think the opposition community needs to tap themselves on the shoulder, because but for them, we would have put ourselves in a very deep mess when it comes to these yellow machines. I'd like to encourage them to continue. The same thing happened with the school scholarship. The same thing happened with the Ghana buses. The same thing happened with, you can go on and on and on and on of these hoax that have been raised by the boycott government just to find out that either they are not real or they are basically fraudulent. Don't allow people that say and wallow them to get on you. That man has lost his sense of direction, unfortunately. And it's sad because Liberia should always come first. These are the people who are close to the government, are partisans that we expect to stand up and be like, gentlemen, you're screwing up. You need to get it right. Instead, they come here and try to make excuses. Or they try to say, oh, why are you guys happy? We're happy because government saved $50 million. We're not supposed to be happy? We're not supposed to be energized? We're supposed to be sad? Come on, man, Sam Wallow. I expect better from you, Chief. But anyway, look, I want to tell Mr. Tao something, because there is a push right now to put into referendum at the next election, the next senatorial nationwide elections, for the constitutional change when it comes to the setting of salaries and benefits for the legislature. We believe that should be scrapped and that should be turned over to another mechanism. And there are some good ideas, but what one single idea has not been settled upon. But there is a push. We are pushing for that to be put into referendum. It is in the beginning. As it starts to solidify, you will hear more about it, and it will be open to people for their suggestions. So people are trying to make change. The absolute beauty of our governmental system is that it is open to change. Most places are not like that. Okay, and so you can pounce on the system, you can denigrate the system, you can lose trust in the system, but as long as we have that, where the people can come in when they feel necessary to make those changes to the government, I believe we still have a great system that we can work with. When it comes to Jetty, I mean, we've known this, Nangbe, I think Nangbe that said it, Nangbe or the hidden progressive from England behind himself. But look, it is true, that our justice system has been skewed for a long time with people who have the means. It's not really a foreign thing. It's not a tribal thing. It's an economic thing. It's an economic thing. If you get it, you can influence. We are hopeful that such things, look, it even happens here in the great US. People who have money hire terrific lawyers that are able to spin what they need to spin, and but every now and then, people need to corral themselves around the poor man, the less fortunate man, the man that's economically challenged, okay, and get a win. We saw in Wisconsin this week that Elon Musk, there was the elections for a judge, and Elon Musk put $20 million behind a candidate and lost.
Yeah.
The people stood up.
He still lost, yeah. He still lost.
Yes, he lost.
Hermes Agreement donated to that candidate. Well,
I'm sure he did.
I did.
But it's those refreshing things that tends to feed us. When we say yes, look, yes, Liberia is kind of twisted, but every now and then, we should be able to put together a win that gives us the hope to push forward. Hopefully we'll get to a place where everybody has maybe not riches, but they're economically inclined enough to represent themselves, to hire a lawyer. Our system to have, a staff of lawyers that can represent people who don't. So hope it's a work in progress, but I think we can still work towards it. As long as we have the freedoms to do so, then it's workable. But thank you guys for another spirited debate. I really enjoyed it. We are looking forward to the Supreme Court coming up with a ruling this week.
Oh,
that will be yes. Oh yes, that one will overshadow and even a yellow machine. Yes, we'll see where that goes. We'll see what happens. And we who support the rule of law, and in the
you part of the rule of law caucus?
Of course. Of
You
course
part of the rule of law
I
caucus?
support the rule of law. I do not support
No wonder you are babysitting Musa Belete on the show.
Look.
I was not even here when Musa Belete was here. Was I here when Musa Belete was here?
No. I don't think I hate you so, man. They just lie on you.
Let me tell you something. I support the rule of law.
That's correct.
With all that as chaos, look, we saw. For me, I grew up in the 80s. I was born in the 70s, but I grew up in the 80s, and I watched the persecution of the people of Nima. And I saw what happened when people don't have access to justice. They resort to violence. They go in the bush.
Yeah.
And it's important that the rule of, that's the only thing that keeps us, that what separates us from the animals. You know?
Sure.
And therefore, I'm not supporter of Kofa. Let me be very honest with you. I am not also, I didn't even want Kofa to even be lawmaker before I even said speaker. But the fact that you're sitting there and you're elected him, you're elected Joseph Boyka, I will not support Joseph Boyka. But anybody come to me and tell me, oh, we want to do younger in a brother move Joseph Boyka, you are an enemy of mine.
Yes.
I'll be the first person to point you out. You know, we make choices, election have consequences.
Yeah.
So you want to move them in, you bring what you need to bring. Other than that, you don't create chaos, you know, and then to see the president supporting it, to see other people supporting it, it's disheartening. And this is this is Wisconsin in Liberia. The people need to win. You know, and you know,
they made a co-host now.
Long closing here. Almost 10 minutes closing.
Plenty. Yeah, like bring your problem plenty.
You're
not bring your hala from London.
Michael, you just created a room for Dr. Body to come at you again.
I turn it over to you, Mr. Given. Thank you very much. The progressives are
Mr. Padmore, that's it. Take us out. Beautiful show. See you next.
We are Liberia. Liberia is our home. Liberia people. Liberia.